I had this thought yesterday when I was watching 7 games at one time last night. Is this the greatest day of college football that I can remember? And I think it's up there. That's what we had yesterday in week 3 of college football. We had one of the greatest days of all time in the history of this sport. Wall to wall, great games from the very first game that we got to witness. That's how good it was. Welcome into the show, everybody. It's me, per usual, Ian Fritz here at the Ian Fritz Show. Follow me on the social medias at Ian Fritz Show. Subscribe down below. We have a lot to talk about. And I know I say that every week. I say we have a lot to talk about this week. This week we have maybe more than normal an abundant amount of things to talk about. I could talk about 10 games, and I believe I could talk about those 10 games. However, we've got three game recaps for you. We have muffins. Stay tuned for muffins if you don't know what that is. And then we have the what if poll, which is my top 25. Without further ado, we will jump right in. That Saturday, that feeling yesterday, especially last night when I had 7 games going, it could not have been more exhilarating. I was looking at 12 different screens. What is going on over here? Oh, boom, there's a play to be made over there. It was wall-to-wall coverage of awesome football. It was unbelievable, okay? But we're going to jump right into the main event, the main course of the day, and that was Georgia-Tennessee, folks. Georgia at Tennessee. Okay, this game, 44 for Georgia, 41 for Tennessee in overtime. Sadly, no cover from Georgia. We had Georgia minus 3.5 here at the Infrid Show. A horrific beat. I believe we should all sign a petition that if you score a touchdown in overtime, you must, no matter what the circumstances are, you must go for 2 or kick the PAT. It must happen, and that would have been a cover from us. I still think that was the right side to be on, but I digress. 44-41, overtime game. Unbelievable game. Instant classic. This, to me, rivals the feelings I had when I was watching the Bama versus Georgia game last year when Georgia went to Tuscaloosa and went up by 1 billion points, and then Alabama storms back and wins that game. That's the kind of excitement I felt while watching this game and another game in the exact same day. I felt it for this game, and then I felt it for the one we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But mainly this Georgia-Tennessee game. Instant classic. From the very beginning, from that very first drive, I knew, oh, baby, we are in for an all-time football game. In fact, that's where we're going to start. I'm going to start by just reading the drive chart for the entire game. Okay, here we go. Touchdown, 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 turnover on downs, touchdown, touchdown, punt, fumble, punt, field goal, interception, interception, touchdown, punt, punt. Tough little stretch there in the third. Interception, field goal, touchdown, fumble, field goal, touchdown, missed field goal, overtime. That is incredible. That is incredible. That is a game right there. That is something that gets the blood going, gets everything flowing from the very beginning all the way to the very end. It was unreal. Just blow after blow after blow after blow from each team. Now, diving into the game a little bit. There were 4 times in this game where I thought, oh yeah, this team's got it under control. This game is over. They have won this football game. First time, Tennessee went up 21-7, and their offense looked unstoppable. It looked like you couldn't do anything. Okay, Josh Heupel had that thing humming. Everything was open. Joey Aguilar was firing on all cylinders. The guy came out hot. He had, I believe, like 1 incompletion in the first quarter of the game. It was unbelievable. Georgia's defensive backs, 5 stars and all. Ellis Robinson had a tough start of things. They looked lost out there. My biggest thing for Tennessee coming, I said, Josh Heupel's going to scheme some things open. That will happen in this football game. Sure enough, open receiver here, open tight end there, open running back there. He's going to scheme some things open. I said that was going to happen. My question was, does Tennessee capitalize? And boy, oh boy, when Tennessee went up 21-7, Joey Aguilar had this thing humming, and he was firing on all cylinders. He was finding the things that Josh Heupel schemed open, okay? That was the first time I thought, oh, Tennessee's got this thing under control. Georgia minus 3.5 is nowhere to be seen right now. That was a horrific pick by me. But then, Georgia, here they come, like they do against Tennessee. like they do against Tennessee. The second time I thought a team had won this football game. Georgia went up 27-21. And it's not that the 6-point gap was insurmountable. The reason I thought that game could have been over in that moment, that Tennessee was just done, they weren't going to come back from that, it was over, they were out like a light, is because of this right here. Tennessee went up 21-7 with 3 minutes and 37 seconds left in the first quarter. Okay? 3.5 minutes left in the first quarter. They went up 21-7. They didn't score for the next 33 minutes and 30 seconds of the game. They went scoreless for 33 minutes, over 33 minutes of the game. They went scoreless. They have nothing on offense. Georgia shut them down, locked them up, put them in a straitjacket. They couldn't do anything. Okay? Scoreless for 33 minutes. That should scare a lot of people. That should scare a lot of people. If I was a Tennessee fan, I'd be like, dang, this game's over. That's what I thought. I thought, oh, no, Tennessee can't get anything going. There's no way they come back from this. And then boom. Here comes the third time I thought this game was over. Gunnar Stockton fumbled. Tennessee took it over. They got a field goal. They went up 38-30. And I thought that game right there in that moment, I was like, oh, there is no chance Georgia, after that monumental mistake from Gunnar Stockton right there, there's no chance they come back from that. They needed to drive down the field and get a touchdown in that moment. And then sure enough, Georgia gets the ball back. They drive down the field. They face a 4th and medium, and they have to convert or this game is over. This game is over. But the 4th time I thought this game was over, and finally I was correct after just being wrong. I was right when I thought this game was over. Georgia converted that 4th and long, 4th and medium. Just an unbelievable throw from Gunnar Stockton. One of the most clutch throws we will probably see the entire year. They got the 2 points. They tied this football game. And they kicked the ball off to Tennessee. And I knew this game was over because Tennessee let them. They had them. They had them up 38-30. That was the time you put them away, Tennessee. You had them on 4th and medium. That was the time you win this football game. And they didn't. And I thought, well, congrats for coming out, Tennessee. You had it. You had it a couple times, and then you lost it again. Just classic you versus Georgia, Josh Heupel versus Kirby Smart. It happens. It's okay. We all have our enemies. And yours right now that you can never defeat is Georgia. And it stinks for you guys, but it is quite entertaining, especially yesterday, the game that you gave us. Now, I will say that the broadcast kept showing Tennessee's kicker, and the man looked like he was going to throw up instantly as soon as he walked out on the field. That guy looked like a ghost. He was pale as a ghost. It didn't look like he was going to make that field goal from the very first time they showed him on the broadcast. The first time they showed him, he went like this. That's not a great sign from your kicker. You don't want that guy taking mental deep breaths, trying to go through some breathing exercises. You want that guy ready to go, okay? You can tell when you put the camera on the kicker if he's ready to knock down a game-winning field goal or not, and that guy did not have it. Feel bad for the kid, but there was zero chance that field goal was going in. Sure enough, it misses. Georgia wins it in overtime. Congrats to the Georgia Bulldogs. Congrats to the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, couple takeaways for this game. I believe we just witnessed 2 top 5 teams in the country, okay? I believe both of those teams, offensively, defensively, they have all the talent in the world, all the play calling in the world to be those top 5 teams, okay? Those are elite relative to teams this year. I think those are 2 elite football teams, and you'll see where I have them ranked later in the episode in the what if poll, okay? And let me preface this. Just because I believe they are 2 top 5 teams does not mean they will be ranked both in the top 5, okay? Rankings and where they are potentially are not the same thing, okay? It's high-level coaching. It's high-level plays being made by both teams. It was unbelievable to watch. Those are 2 incredible football teams. That was the game that we all hoped Ohio State versus Texas would be to start the season. We all hyped this game up. Oh, man, it's going to be generational. We got 2 incredible quarterbacks going at it. These defenses are elite. What's going to happen? 2 good head coaches. What is going to happen? And then we got a dud, a stinker Okay, maybe a battle of mid, some might say, in that Ohio State-Texas game. Definitely one of those teams is mid at this moment. These two teams right here, not mid. Incredible, incredible football teams. My next two takeaways, the quarterbacks. Stockton, he has it. Aguilar, he has it. Those are two QBs that everyone going into the season kind of had in their lower tier of quarterbacks in the SEC. And I think yesterday they showed us why they don't deserve to be in that lower tier. These are upper echelon SEC quarterbacks this year. They can make all the throws. They have all the decision making. They can run and they can command the offense in pressure situations. Those are two incredible quarterbacks. Last takeaway. I can't wait for more games like this year. I think the parity in college football is unmatched again this year like it was last year. I think we're just going to continue to get more parity in college football. It's going to be amazing. I'm not saying we're going to have another game exactly like that, as exciting as that, but I think we got one later in the day, and it just so happened to be the Texas A&M versus Notre Dame Fighting Irish football game. Going to take a sip here. While I'm taking a sip, go down, scroll down, subscribe, leave a comment, and I will respond to you. So we just spilled a bunch of water. Sometimes you forget how to drink water, and you are reminded that every time you drink it correctly, you should be thankful for that. Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Notre Dame, 0-1 on the season. We said if they lose this game, they are most likely out of the college football playoff, and I think that is still the case. But let's talk about the game here for a second. This game was so weird. It was one of the oddest games I've ever watched, and trust me when I say this, wouldn't have a college football show if I didn't watch virtually every game every weekend. I've watched a lot of college football, and it was so weird, okay? You had the special team touchdown being the first touchdown of the game, and then the second touchdown of the game was an 84-yard pass where he was tackled 50 yards down the field, but somehow he spun out of it and scored a touchdown. First two scores of the game like that. I knew we were in for something funky, okay? 3 punts to start the game, and then we had these 12 straight drives of no punts, okay? Touchdown, interception, field goal, touchdown, interception, touchdown, turnover on downs. Unbelievable. The last punt of the first half was with 10 minutes and 20 seconds in the first quarter. And you're thinking, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, defense. They only had 3 punts in the entire first half? Yeah, 3 punts in the entire first down. There were 25 straight minutes of no punts. That's what you want in a college football game. That's exciting. That's exhilarating. That gets the people going, and that got me going. I thought after watching the 2 games we watched earlier in the day that we weren't going to get another game like that, and boy, oh boy, did this game not disappoint. 12 straight drives with Texas A&M, Notre Dame going at each other. Unbelievable. The defenses, they settled in the second half, and they made adjustments. Credit to the head coaches. They're both defensive-minded head coaches. They saw what happened in the first half, and they said, enough of this. We will not have any more of this in our team right now. It stops at halftime, and they settled in, to their credit, to Notre Dame's credit, Fighting Irish, and to the Aggies' credit as well. Mike Elko, Marcus Freeman made halftime adjustments, and they were big for both teams, okay? Now, what I learned for both of these teams in this game, first up, Texas A&M. The offense is unbelievable. It is really, really good. We said that coming in. We said all of their skill position players are incredible talents. That's going to be the focal point of their offense in this game against Notre Dame. And sure enough, unbelievable talent displayed by Texas A&M. Mario Craver, I believe is his name, over 200 yards receiving. Dude looked unstoppable last night, and he's not going against some slouchy defensive backs, okay? Notre Dame prides themselves on great defensive backs, playing that man coverage like they do, and they are really good at it. Texas A&M in this passing game and the running game, explosive play after explosive play after explosive play, just chunk play. I was like, whoa, this is an explosive, dynamic, dangerous offense from the Texas A&M Aggies. There are so many dynamic players on this team, so many different playmakers on this team. They got about 5 wide receivers that you would want on your football team. They have 3 running backs that could start at anywhere in the country. They have an offensive line that is top 5 at worst in the entire country. Marcel Reed proved last night with his play, not only through the air, but on the ground, that he can command an offense on the road in a very tough environment and get a big road win for a big-time team. Okay, this offense is awesome. It is so, so fun to watch. This is a team you better look out for. You got to have one of the best defenses in all of college football to slow this thing down. And even when you do, like Notre Dame has, it's going to be hard because they have so many playmakers. It's hard to shut them all down. It's hard to account for every single playmaker the Texas A&M Aggies have. Second biggest takeaway for these games. I had two big questions coming into this game. My first was Notre Dame. Does the offensive line show improvement? And I believe we got both of these questions answered. The second question was Texas A&M. Is your defense fixed? Okay, so we'll answer that first question. Notre Dame, did the offensive line show improvement from what they showed against Miami? I believe they did. I believe the offensive line was improved, and it improved pretty substantially. They didn't cave in like they did against Miami at the end of that game. However, there's still a lot of improvement that the Fighting Irish offensive line needs to have. However, those could be the two best teams Notre Dame faces all year. And I know some people think that if you lose to the only two good teams on your schedule, you don't deserve to be in the college football playoff. I agree with that. However, we've got to look at how you lose to those teams. It's not like they got blown out. Okay, they had a chance to win both of these games at the very last play of the game, and it just didn't happen. Okay, Notre Dame lost this game because their holder fumbled a snap. Let's get that through our minds. Okay, it's not like they got blown out at home. Okay, just remember that. Second thing, is Texas A&M's defense fixed? The answer is no. No, it is not fixed. Now, looked a lot better in the second half. However, there are still guys running wide open. Jeremiah Love, the running backs out of the backfield on a couple wheel routes, burned them. Nobody's even guarding them. It burned them. I expect Mike Elko to get things hammered out there and adjust. But right now, if you're Texas A&M, you are going to be riding that offense, and you got to see where it can take you. I believe it can take you pretty far because it's that good and it is that fun to watch. I love watching the Aggies right now. Next game up, Clemson at Georgia Tech. Got to take a sip here before I get into this one. And if you didn't subscribe earlier when I told you to, go ahead and do that right now. You didn't do it yet, did you? Go ahead and just scroll down there, hit that button, like this video, comment down below. I'll respond to you. And you also want to be following on all the social medias. I have video every day I'm putting out there. Shorts, reels, talks, whatever you call them. I'm putting them out there. Clemson at Georgia Tech. Look, I have to address something before I talk about the actual game. No, we'll talk about the actual game, and then I will address something regarding one of these two teams. Look, we picked Georgia Tech to win this football game. We picked them to win this football game. Clemson, through 2 weeks of this season, has looked inept. They have looked inept, okay? We're going to talk about, normally we like to talk about the winning team, but I think we'll talk about the winning team first, okay? We'll talk about the winning team first. I feel bad. I said we were going to talk about the losing team first. Yeah, I feel bad when I do that. Haynes King is an absolute dude of a quarterback, okay? His stat line right there, 20 of 28, 211, 25 rushes for 103 yards and 1 touchdown. That doesn't blow you away. That doesn't scream Heisman elite quarterback play. You didn't watch the football game. If you just look at the stat line and think, this guy is your guy? Yes, he is your guy. He is an unbelievable commander of that offense, okay? He knows what he needs to do, and he does it extremely well, okay? Brent Key, he knows that everyone they play know that Georgia Tech is going to try and run the ball straight down their throat and right at them for 80% of the football game. He knows that is going to be their main thing that they do. He knows that. He knows that other teams know that they want to do that. It doesn't matter. He couldn't care less. He knows that they're going to try and stop the run. It doesn't matter. You can't. You can't do it against Georgia Tech. They're too good at doing it. They have some of the most creative runs in all of college football. They're an extremely fun team to watch. Susceptible to me still on the defensive side of things, but they're an extremely fun football team to watch. We had them in the ACC title game already to begin the year. I still like them to get to there. We'll see. The ACC is seemingly wide open to me right now. There's a couple teams at the top that I think are separating themselves. Georgia Tech is right behind those two teams. But Georgia Tech, they have an extremely fun football team. They're likely, if they don't stumble, 11-0 going into the Georgia game to end the season. Likely. They should be favored in all of those matchups. Now, let's talk about Clemson here for a second, folks. This was a time where they had opportunities to win this football game. They drive down the field, they miss a field goal. They fumble inside their own 30. They drive down the field, get inside the 15-yard line, and Cade Klubnik throws an interception. Those are things you can't have in a conference game on the road against what some are saying is an ACC championship caliber football team. You can't have those mistakes with a third-year starter. You can't have those mistakes with a two-time national championship winning head coach. It just can't happen. It's not like Clemson went in there and got ragdolled around. They didn't. But they didn't win. And they should be winning this football game. They should be winning this football game, okay? Couple things. Cade Klubnik looks absolutely lost in the offense right now, and I think that mainly has to do that the offense as a whole looks disjointed. There seemingly is nothing that makes sense about it. That they can't run the football unless it's a quarterback draw from Cade Klubnik, and even then he'll fumble it and give it away to the defense. There's just nothing that makes sense from what they do in an offensive standpoint. The thing they had going in the second half against Georgia Tech were kind of throws over the middle of the field, getting into their best playmakers, Bryant Westcombe company. That's what they had going in the second half. You got to be able to exploit that earlier in the game. You can't just go into halftime and think, oh, well, man, what did we do? We were kind of lost out there in the first half. No, you got to be able to make in-game adjustments. Yes, halftime adjustments are in-game adjustments, but you got to be able to do that halfway through the first quarter when you realize, man, we kind of stink at the things that we're trying to do right now. Let's look at some other options. You got to be able to do that on the fly. And it just, they can't do it. They cannot do it. Everything looks bad. It looks bad for Clemson right now. And it shouldn't. It shouldn't is the thing that's so frustrating as a college football fan that was highly praising Clemson coming into the season. And we might as well just address what some of you already know right now. Me, along with many other prestigious media members, Joel Klatt being probably the most prestigious, me right behind him in terms of prestige. We both, yes, me and Joel Klatt both picked, how do I say this? Clemson to win the national championship, okay? And we'll just brush right past that. Nothing else to say. Nothing I know. Nothing. We'll address it. Look, it was bad. It's a bad pick, okay? The reason I believed in them is because of the way they finished the end of last season. They were kind of on a roll a little bit, playing some really, really quality football towards the end of the season. And then they returned literally everybody. And I thought that meant, oh, those guys are going to get better and better and better. Kind of as they showed improvement throughout last season. I thought that meant, oh, they'll improve through the offseason. They'll come out firing against LSU. No. Oh, okay, they'll bounce back against Troy. No. Oh, here we go. Right game against Georgia Tech. All of that production that I said everything on the team right now looks disjointed. It shouldn't look disjointed because you have all the same players. You have the exact same guys. Okay? Nothing about it should be disjointed, and it is. And that's a sign of a bad football team. And that's what we have here. Look, Joel Klatt, he's already apologized. I'm apologizing right now. Look, as prestigious media members, we cannot have this. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait for mid-season college football playoff projections because I have a pulse on all of these teams in the country right now. And so far, the Clemson pick is the only thing that's real bad about my college football playoff bracket. Everything else still seemingly can be possible and make sense. But yeah, it was a bad pick. Nothing you can do about it. It happens. People make bad picks all the time. We'll bounce back, regroup, and we were lied to. Frankly, I don't blame myself. I blame everyone surrounding the Clemson program, national media, polluting my brain, thinking, oh yeah, I think I can believe in this Clemson Tiger football team. And me and Joel Klatt, we'll talk and we'll regroup and we'll see, hey, how did we get this so wrong? And we'll come back stronger. We'll come back stronger. But the Clemson Tigers, bleh, bleh, get them off. Get them, bleh. I don't need to see them play football again. Okay, folks, muffins. And some of you are thinking, muffins? What are we doing with muffins, Ian? Well, since the history of the show, the inception of this show a couple years ago, we've had this segment called Certified Stud Muffins, where we take a player, a coach, a fan base from the weekend in a big-time football game, and they had a big-time performance. And we certify them with a stamp as a stud muffin. You can be a stud muffin, but then you have to get certified on the Ian Fritz Show. Just history of this award a little bit. First ever certified stud muffin was Cam Ward all the way back when he was at Washington State. Pretty good track record, history of this award. Week 1, we had Gus Malzahn, offensive coordinator for Florida State, absolutely dicing up Alabama. He got the certified stud muffin in Week 1. We had Sawyer Robertson, just unbelievable performance in Week 2 on the road at SMU. He was certified stud muffin in Week 2. Now, in Week 3, you're thinking, oh, man, there were a lot of options here, Ian. You could go Carson Beck at Miami, just absolutely dominating USF. That could be a really good one. No, I don't want to go with Carson Beck, okay? You go Diego Pavia for what he did to that South Carolina Gamecock team. You could. He's definitely stud muffin, not certified stud muffin worthy, okay? Haynes King, maybe, just talk about how good he was. Yeah. But for certified stud muffin, you gotta have stat poppers really jump out at you, okay? And while it was a great game from Haynes, didn't do it for me in the certified category. Stud muffin, yeah. And then we had Trinidad Chambliss for Ole Miss at home against Arkansas. Unbelievable performance. Stats jump off at the page. The dude commanded the offense extremely well. I needed it to be against a higher level opponent, a better football team. There was only one place we could go with the Certified Stud Muffin Award for Week 3. That is Gunnar Stockton. You see him on the screen next to me. Sorry for the pixelated photo of Gunnar there. It's hard to get a real quality photo of this guy. Look, Gunnar Stockton, 23 of 31, 342 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. And what really sent it over the edge for me was the clutch touchdown on 4th down that we mentioned earlier in the show, and the 2-point conversion throw. Unbelievable from Gunnar. You have been certified stud muffin worthy, Gunnar Stockton. Congratulations. Joining a prestigious history in the Ian Fritz Show. Next up, folks, we have the Week 3 What If poll. Going to take a sip here before I explain what this poll is and who the 25 teams are. Okay, without further ado, what is the What If poll? Well, first off, it is my top 25, and my philosophy for the What If poll, it's right there in the name. What if what we've seen through X amount of weeks in the football season is who these teams are? What if the season ended today? How should we rank these teams? I think that is how I do it. Now, with all ranking systems, there will be some inconsistencies. Yes, I concede that to you. However, I do my best to rank them based on quality wins, quality opponents. Do you have a quality win? What did you look like in that quality win? How many quality opponents have you played? What did you look like in all of those games? And if you have a loss or multiple, how have you looked in those losses? Okay, that's kind of my criteria, and it's based on football that has been played. Okay, not football that will be played, football that has been played. Okay, without further ado, we're jumping right in. At number 25, I have the Auburn Tigers. Okay, new addition, and you're thinking, Ian, what new addition? Didn't they kind of stink it up against South Alabama yesterday? A little bit. However, I'm starting to believe a little bit about the Auburn Tigers. The defense still really, really good. Jackson Arnold seems to be settling in quite nicely there at Auburn. Okay, right in front of them, USF Bulls. Okay, look, 2 really good wins to start the season against Boise State and Florida. However, they were outplayed in the Florida game. Yes, I know they won. I understand that. That is why they are ranked. And then they got dominated, quite frankly, against Miami. So we had to drop them pretty far here in the What If poll. Right in front of them, Texas Longhorns. Look, you have the loss against Ohio State. Arch Manning looks, frankly, abysmal, and I think that's putting it nicely. The offense looks horrifically bad, they have not looked good in a single game. They have not looked good in a single game, and they have lost. They're lucky I'm putting them this high, to be honest with you. Everyone still has them in their top 10 for whatever reason. If you're basing this off what we've seen through 3 weeks, you cannot possibly have Texas, I believe, in even your top 15 to 20 right now, because they have not looked like that football team. Okay, they may get there, but that's not what your rankings are supposed to be. At least I don't believe so. Okay, so right in front of them, we have the Michigan Wolverines. I believe they have a really good quality loss. Okay, thinking your quality loss, they don't have any wins. They've looked really good in both of those other wins, especially yesterday against Central Michigan. Yes, I know it's Central Michigan, but Bryce Underwood, I believe in that guy. Next up, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Excuse me. I know some of you are already hating that. Watch their games. They're good. They are good. Top 20, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Look, quite frankly, I think the Clemson win is a good win, but they could have lost that football game. Some could argue they should have lost it in terms of how the game played out dynamically. It's still a good win. I don't believe it's one of the best wins in all of college football. Not really much going on in the other two games for them. They beat a Colorado team that stinks. So, I think 20 is a good spot for Georgia Tech. At number 19, Utah struggled a little bit yesterday in the first half against Wyoming. Wyoming's a tough place to play. I still like the Utes. Devin Dampier is awesome to watch. He is so fun. Texas Tech at number 18 continue to just obliterate every team they play. Haven't played anybody, but they obliterate them. Right in front of them, the Iowa State Cyclones. If you follow me on social media, again, you should. I had a video out today, or video out during last week, previewing a couple games, saying that, one of these 3 games featuring 3 top 25 teams where they were 20-plus point favorites, they're going to be in a dogfight that they didn't expect. Iowa State versus Arkansas State was one of those games, and sure enough, we drop them in the rankings after a lackluster performance against Arkansas State, because if you don't perform, you will get dropped. You will get dropped. Right in front of them, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I already hear the boos. I already hear I'm dodging tomatoes. Let me explain. I am completely okay if you do not have Notre Dame in your top 25. Completely understandable. I understand why people would have that. They haven't won a football game through 3 weeks of this season. However, they've lost to 2 top 10 at the least football teams, one by 1 point and one by 6, 7 points on the road to start the season. And they had a chance to win both of those football games. One of them they lost because a guy couldn't hold a snap. Okay? Yes, they don't have a win. But in their losses against very quality opponents, they've looked like a top 20 football team. So I'm going to have them there. Now, if we were putting them in the playoffs, no. Get out of here. Not even close. Right now. But right now, they're still, I believe, they deserve to be ranked. Now, I understand if you don't want them there. But I think they still need to be there. That's why I have them there. At number 15, Mississippi State. Still one of they have a quality win against Arizona State. A lot of these teams do not have any of that, especially the teams behind these opponents, behind Mississippi State right now. Right in front of them, Ole Miss Rebels. Good win yesterday versus Arkansas with your backup QB. Missouri. Nobody believed me. Nobody believed me in the offseason when I said Bo Prabula is a dog. Everybody needs to stop doubting him. He's unbelievable. I saw it. I have an eye for talent, and we saw it with Bo Prabula. Right in front of them, top 12. Give me the Vanderbilt Commodores soaring up the ranks, getting to the top 12 in college football. Diego Pavia is so fun to watch. He is so fun to watch. At number 11, the LSU Tigers. Ew, gross. This team is gross, okay? The defense seemingly is better. However, I'm not going to say they got outplayed against Florida yesterday, but you only win a game by 10 in a game in which you forced 5 interceptions, 5, and you only win by 10? You told me DJ Lagway had 5 interceptions against LSU in Death Valley on Saturday, and I would have told you LSU won by 55. It should have been a bloodbath, a blowout, and it wasn't. It is very concerning, and their so-called really good win this season is against a Clemson team that looks disjointed, discombobulated, quite frankly, a team that sucks. That's their quality win this year. No. You're going to get dropped for not playing and performing well. You get dropped. Top 10. Here we go. Tennessee. I already hear it again. They lost yesterday. However, I believe they've lost to, you will find out in a second, where I have Georgia ranked. They lost to one of the best teams in all of college football, if not the best team in all of college football. And they looked good throughout the entirety of that football game. Penn State right in front of them. I'm lower on Penn State, been lower on them for a while. They continue to just play with their food a little bit in non-conference play. We'll see what they do when conference play comes around. In front of them, the Illinois Fighting Illini. They are a team that is not playing with their food. They are obliterating teams, and we like to see that at the Ian Fritz Show. In front of them, Ohio State Buckeyes. I have dropped them considerably for their performance yesterday against Ohio. Ohio is not a good football team. And Ohio State, supposedly, was the best team in all of college football. Not by anything I saw yesterday. Not by any metric of the imagination were they the best team in all of college football yesterday. Okay? So you get penalized for not playing well against inferior teams. That's how it should work. Number 6, the Oregon Ducks. Dropped them a little bit, played with their food a little bit against Northwesterns. Nothing concerning there. Still a really good football team. Top 5, here we go. Texas A&M Aggies. The offense is really good, folks. People need to watch out. I think Mike Elko is going to get the defense adjusted throughout the course of the season. Top 4, OU. The defense is unbelievable. They have allowed virtually no passing yards the entire season. It's unreal how good this defense is. You just can't do anything on them. You can't do anything on them. Michigan, they shut Michigan down, made Michigan look like a high school team. Michigan scored a gazillion points yesterday. Yes, I know, against nobody. They still did it. OU's for real. We've been on OU since the beginning of the season, since the spring, since the winter, really, when they got John Mateer. I was a believer in OU, and everyone is now seemingly coming around after I was being called a crazy person. Top 3, going to put them all up there. Those 3 teams, for my money, have the 3 best wins in all of college football. Georgia, going on the road to Tennessee, that's the best win. Miami, they have 2 really good wins. Notre Dame win, quality win, and they have that USF win where they dominated, another quality win. They have a chance to build on that this week against Florida, and then Florida State, just complete domination in the 2 games they've played so far. This is my top 25. Let me know what you see in the comments below and what you disagree with, and I will respond to you. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the show. Go follow me on social media, Twitter, X, TikTok, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, at Ian Fritz Show. Stay tuned for the videos there. Subscribe down below. I love you guys. Stay tuned for the Week 4 preview show out later this week. I love you guys. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. 45-40, 45-50.